shout out to the women who did their hair without modern conveniences, because I can't even do my hair with modern conveniences, and I would just have no hope. Because darling Desi, what was that? I really need to prioritize this because it's for my job. Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley. Today I'm going to be talking about my TBR for the month of March. This TBR is going to be way toned down, way calm, because I'm participating in two readathons. Nope, read-alongs? Gosh dang it, what is the terminology here? I'm pretty sure it's read-alongs, and they're both it's for a classic book and a really big book, and that's going to take all my time. So, my current reads, books that are pulling over from the month of February into March. So first off is The Talent War, still. I really need to prioritize this because it's for my job. I got really preoccupied with my detective novels last month and did not prioritize my job. Oops. So this book is written by Mike Sarraille and George Randle. It's written by a U.S. Navy SEALs operative and somebody with a PhD in business, and it lays out a complete plan for how to acquire talent or talented people as a means to have a competitive advantage in the business field. That was a lot of business guru magic vomit. But basically, it follows how the U.S. Special Operations creates and maintains one of the most elite military forces in the world, and how those principles can be applied for businesses. It's really interesting to read and think about. This is totally something I would pick up on my own just to read. So works out really well. It's very applicable to my job in recruiting employees, and I'm definitely interested in it, and I definitely do want to read it, and I definitely need to prioritize it. I just was prioritizing mystery novels beforehand. So hopefully this book just needs a lot more focus than I've been giving it. The end. Next, Robinson Crusoe again. This, to be honest, I've been highly distracted by reading other books. And also, the writing in this is much harder than I anticipated, so I've kind of pulled back because I was reading Shakespeare last month, and I could not do Shakespeare and Robinson Crusoe. Classics. More than one classic is probably too many classics. So this book, I guess the technical definition would be a DNF. But I still intend to read it, and it's still sitting by my bedside table. I just am not prioritizing it right now for this month. I will come back to it, and I'll come back to it when I need to. I'm still only 45 pages in. He still hasn't been shipwrecked. Also, it's taking a long time to get to the shipwrecked portion of this book, which is, to be honest, probably another reason why I haven't read it, because that's the reason I'm reading this book, and it's taking a long time to get there. But also, it's a classic, so I should have expected that. Anyway, I will come back to this when I'm ready, and we'll get after it. And then the next book that's carrying over from February to March, although in a perfect world, I would film my February wrap-up on the last day of February, and my TBR for March on the last day of February, but this is not a perfect world. So it's still February as I'm filming this, and I've already filmed my February wrap-up, and this book I haven't finished it, so it's not included on there, so it comes onto this list. And that book is We Are Not Free by Traci, Chee. This book follows a group of Japanese American friends, and so far I'm 25% of the way into the novel, and it splits from one friend to the next friend to the next friend to the next friend, and I'm pretty sure we're only going to get the perspective from one person, and then it'll move on to the next person, but you follow the story sequentially by jumping from first-person narrative to first-person narrative to first-person narrative. Anyway, that's a lot of side stuff. But this follows Japanese Americans in the early 1940s, right after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and what happened to Japanese Americans and the internment camps that they went to after that. Surprising to me was that many of them ended up in Utah, and I had no idea that Utah had housed internment camps for Japanese Americans during World War II. This is a subject that we don't like to talk about in America because we don't like to acknowledge the fact that we kind of did the same thing that the Nazis did. And I mean, I want to say not to the same level, but I don't know yet because I haven't finished the book. This book is highly researched, and all of the stories I think are based on true stories. And the reason I'm picking this novel up, because this is not normally something I would pick up on my own, I started following the Subtle Asian Book Club. I haven't really watched a whole ton from them yet, but they host a book club from an author, an Asian author every month, and I saw that and I was like, well, I might as well check to see if this book is available at the library, and it was! So that's why I'm reading it, and I need to have it finished by Saturday because they're doing a live show on Saturday to discuss this book, and I am really excited to discuss this book. Like I said, I'm only 25% of the way in, but it is a hard-hitting, hard read because you know that the things that people are experiencing are true, and that makes it really difficult to read. This book is hard because it makes you think, it makes you angry, it makes, I guess, the biggest fear from my perspective is that humanity can turn on any other group of smaller humanity, and it kind of more is a matter of time of when that will happen. And maybe that's a really pessimistic view of history. Humanity has a really nasty tendency to like pick one population and be like, you are the scapegoats, everything in society is your fault, and we're going to shun you aside and destroy you. And we've done that to like multiple groups in history, and that's really scary, and I dislike that that's part of human history and human culture and our human identity, and it's really easy to ignore that and to not talk about that, but I think it is something that does need to be discussed. So I'm really glad that this is something that I'm getting exposed to. I like challenging myself and my ideology as I'm reading, and this book is helping with that. So hopefully that will make me a more well-rounded, more balanced person. Now, on to the two new books that I plan to read this month. There's only two, because one of them is Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, and that thing is long. It's over 1,000 pages. Is it 5,000? 5,000. No, it's not 5,000 pages. Is it 1,500 pages? I can't remember. So Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson and Persuasion by Jane Austen. So let's start with Rhythm of War, because hopefully this is the month that I tackle this book. I finally got my own copy. Prop. So it's not a new copy, but it's in pretty great condition. This book goes for how much dollars? $34.99. Brand new. It's hardcover because softcover hasn't come out yet. Anyway, so I has a copy of my very own now. There's a bookstore that I live fairly nearby to, and you can trade books in for credit, and so I traded some books in for credit, and they had a copy that they were selling for $20, and with my credit I got it for $8. So that was quite a steal. And I'm very excited that I now have a physical copy. So there are many reasons why I want to read this book. First and foremost is that my brother absolutely loves the Stormlight Archive, and I have been reading it kind of in conjunction with him. He's been like a book ahead of me, and I love talking with him and talking theories, and it's just a great bonding, sibling bonding moment. And then the other reason I want to read it is because Becca from the Books, Catherine Reed's Little Book Owl, they've all been doing a live show every month and a half for the Stormlight Archive. So I want to participate in that, and so far I've managed to complete all of the Stormlight Archive. And the last one is for Rhythm of War, and it's going to be at the end of March, middle of April maybe. I don't know. They've been doing it kind of slow, which is great for me. So to summarize, Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson is a little bit hard because it's the fourth book in a trilogy. At this point, we've probably covered around 3,500 pages worth of character growth and plot and lots of stuff. So how do we summarize this up? We have two warring tribes. We have the Alethi, which are the humans on this planet of Roshar, and then we have the Parshendi, which are human-like creatures that are covered in shells. This world is tormented by a massive storm that circles the planet every couple months, couple days, depending on the pattern, and there's also a gigantic war between the Parshendi and the Alethi, because the Parshendi killed the Alethi king, and the Alethi tend to be a warring tribe, and so of course they like jump on the Parshendi and attack them. And in the middle of these battles and all these wars, we follow multiple characters who start to realize that they have abilities that other people don't have, and that those abilities can be had for good or evil, and magic. And there is also a group of knights that must be reunited, and possibly save the world from an apocalypse. Dun dun dun! Okay, and then the last book that I want to for sure read this month is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I want to read this book because darling Desi, what was that? Great, cute little sound effect. She is hosting a Jane Austen-a-thon. Dang it, I can't even remember the name. Anyway, she is reading all of Jane Austen's work over the course of a year, and I unfortunately am coming into this halfway. I didn't hear about this until now, which is a shame because she's already done some great books. Anyway, so she's reading one Jane Austen book every 2 months. So for the month of February and for the month of March, it's the book Persuasion. And then I think next month is Sense and Sensibility, and the book after that is Mansfield Park. Now, I've never read Persuasion or Mansfield Park. Those are the two that I haven't done yet. So this will be fun. And I probably, after Mansfield Park finishes, I'll just jump into Pride and Prejudice, because that's what she started with in August, so August and September. So I'll just jump in and then read those books and then watch the live shows late. I love this idea. I wish I'd thought of it. It's so cozy, and it's a great thing to do in the middle of a pandemic. So anyway, Persuasion. This book follows Anne Elliot. I had to think of the name. I was like, I know the name. I've been reading the book. Anne Elliot and her family has been quite wealthy. They've been landowners, but they have to give up their house because they have been spending a little too much money. And Anne moves to a new city. She also falls in love with an everyday man, a sailor, and her family highly disapproves of the match, and she breaks off the engagement. And then 8 years later, I think, I don't know what the exact time period is, but there is a jump in time, and their circumstances have dramatically increased. He has become quite wealthy, and he's got quite a bit of status through the army. He's a sailor. What is it when it's on the water? Navy. Through the Navy. Yeah, through the Navy. And her family is not as rich as they were. And so their circumstances have changed dramatically. And it's that awkward moment when you go into the village and you run into your ex that you told him that you couldn't be with him, and he's still there, and he's even more handsome, and he's really wealthy, and he's still single, and you're still single, and it's awkward. That's what this novel encapsulates. I am really excited about this. I was expecting Jane Austen to be a lot harder to read than it is. I'm not even that far into this novel. I'm 25 pages in. But if you count the intro, I'm probably 50 pages in, because the intro was really long. So I was expecting Jane Austen to be a lot harder to read, because I remember the first Jane Austen book that I ever read was Sense and Sensibility, and that was when I was 14, and I struggled so hard with the language and trying to figure out what was going on. And this book hasn't been that bad, but also I'm just coming off of Shakespeare and Robinson Crusoe, so I think that dramatically changes how hard I think something is. Plus War and Peace. War and Peace makes everything seem fairly easy, except Shakespeare. But Shakespeare's his own category. Anyway, so I'm really enjoying this novel. It's been a long time since I've read a Jane Austen novel, actually. The last one I read was Northanger Abbey, which is like her attempt at a Gothic novel, and I think it was the first novel she wrote, I think. Hey, look at that. Deep, deep, deep. Nice. Shout out to all the women who did crap without modern crap. There we go. What was I saying? Northanger Abbey. Oh, yeah. So it's been a long time since I've read any Jane Austen, which makes me kind of sad because I love Sense and Sensibility. So far, Sense and Sensibility is my favorite novel by Jane Austen because I relate to the characters best. And Pride and Prejudice is just a classic. And Emma I hated the first time round and liked the second time round because I understood that it was meant to be a joke. Anyway, I'm falling off the bandwagon. Whatever that phrase means. Yes, I honestly, I need to make my way through the Mavor and Persuasion because I really want to participate in the live shows for that, and it just sounds fun. I also really need to work on the Talent War, and between those 3 physical books, I think all my attention and time is going to be spent on that. Yes, that's the end of my tale. Dance puppy. Okay, I'm done. I will talk to you all later. I was about to say have a good night, but it's not even night here when I'm filming this, so have a good time. Thing. I will talk to you all later. Bye.